Good afternoon, evening, night, morning, whenever you find a way to watch or listen to this podcast. It is me, Omar Rashan Borat, the Burger Popper. I'm back here with another off-season podcast. We're less than a month away from the regular season, less than a month away from week zero. So soon enough, we'll stop talking about this off-season stuff and get into the season. And Jackson and I will be in full throttle with the hardware podcast, which stay tuned soon for our week zero preview and our other I guess a couple of other topics we're gonna have for the preseason. So just stay tuned for that. But the time is coming in. But now today I'm here with an old friend of the podcast, Nathan Dailey, resident Navy fan. We're talking not about Navy in particular today. We're talking more about stadiums and our different experiences at stadiums. The perfect off-season topic, the perfect topic as people begin to think about their travel plans for this fall and to think about the games that they'll be going to locally. So Nathan, thanks for coming on again. And how's everything going?
I appreciate you having me on again, Omar, and things are going very well. How about for yourself?
I mean, shoot, I've seen better days, but God is good. That's all. I'm just gonna leave it at that. God is good no matter what. So,
Hey,
um,
all good, man.
yeah. But yeah. So I guess beginning this discussion, I guess we should talk about the stadiums that we've visited. I haven't kept account. I'll be honest. I'd have to count them all out on my hands and everything. But Nathan, I guess what are some of your favorite stadiums you visited and why?
So, I mean, I've been to a lot of different ones, college and NFL, but we'll focus more on college just because this is a college football podcast, obviously. But yeah, as far as college goes, I've been to Auburn, I've been to Georgia, I've been to Northwestern, Northern Illinois, Notre Dame. I've been to University of Wisconsin, obviously, because it's my home state. Um, and I've also been to University of Illinois. I went to that last year when the Badgers played there. So those are the college ones I've been to.
Yeah, that definitely is I mean, it's a great list of iconic stadiums, especially Illinois. Illinois is a Memorial Stadium. It's got more history than people realize. I think Red Grange played in that stadium back in the day. And I know you mentioned like pro stadiums. For me, I'm a huge fan of college football games at pro stadiums. I'm in the minority there, but I do count, I guess, those as college stadiums, depending on the occasion. I mean, in terms of stadiums, been to Mikey, of course, been to a couple Ivy League stadiums, Harvard Stadium, the Yale Bowl, and Franklin Field. Went to Fitton Field as a kid, growing up in Worcester, Massachusetts. Went to when I was living in the South, I went to Legion Field, went to the Crampton Bowl, and then also like a fair share of neutral site games. Went to the Commanders Classic back in 2021, Army versus Air Force at Globe Life Field. As a cadet, went to Army Navy all 3 years that I was at Lincoln Financial, except for the pandemic when I was at Mikey. And then went to Gillette Stadium for UMass BYU back when I was in college. Yeah, back when I was college, UMass BYU at Gillette Stadium, and then went to Notre Dame Navy at M&T Bank Stadium. So it was just like a few. I mean, I honestly lose count because I'm just trying to get all my stadium traveling out of the way before marriage and everything. But I guess out of your list, like what are some of your favorites, Nathan?
So for me, um, my favorites, if I'm going to go with atmosphere, I got to go with Auburn. Um, I'm a Big Ten guy at heart, but love or hate the SEC. SEC football, man, is just it's an experience. I mean, I'll never forget just the tailgates. I mean, the whole community is just rallying around it. I got to watch the Auburn football team walk to the stadium before they went to the field, and it was actually, and I didn't know this at the time. They played Georgia that day. This was the first title under Kirby Smart, and Auburn Georgia is actually the oldest rivalry in the South. They say so. Fun fact, but um, that was a lot of fun. I mean, just the crowd was crazy. I mean, the game itself wasn't anything spectacular, but that was probably my favorite for atmospheres. And then for nostalgia, I got to go with Notre Dame. I mean, some people love to hate Notre Dame. I love the history of Notre Dame football. You just when you walk around that campus, you feel the tradition. It's really cool. And you know, it was cool because I mean, obviously being a Navy fan, I got to go there. You know, it was the first match. It was a 2019 matchup, so the first time since the 80s, I think it was. They said that both were in the top 25, so that was really cool to be there for that. So
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I know Notre Dame Navy is a time tested rivalry, and it's just crazy how rare it is for them to both be ranked in that game. I remember watching that and thinking that Navy had a legitimate chance to compete in that game, but that was not the story. I think Chase Claypool had like 4 touchdowns or something in the first half. It was really,
yes, he
really
did.
obscene. Yeah, it was
That
really
was a
crazy.
that was a pretty wild day. That was
Yeah.
yeah. But I agree. I actually thought Navy had a shot too, and but when you have 7 turnovers in a football game, especially playing a team like that, you're gonna have a hard time winning. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, shoot, I forgot about 7 turnovers. But no, those are definitely great atmospheres. I'm not as much a Power Five guy. So I don't really like envy the atmosphere of I guess like the SEC. I went the closest I'd say to feeling that SEC atmosphere was when I know it's not the SEC, but I got free tickets from a friend. Shout out Vipul Patel. I went to the academy with his son, and he knew I'm a big college football fan. So closest I got was going to Clemson, Boston College, and Death Valley is cool, but the Power Five scene's not. It's not all for me. I'll be honest. I think the best atmosphere that wasn't. I'm always gonna say a Saturday at Mikey Stadium is the best atmosphere. I'm always going to say that. I'm always going to say Army Navy is the best atmosphere as well. But I think all bias aside, I think the best atmosphere was for me was like going to the Yale Bowl for Harvard Yale. It wasn't full, wasn't completely full, but it was about I'd say like 90, if not 85% full. Seeing the Yale Bowl full, like it was in the old days, like it was when the Ivy League, when I guess college football legitimacy ran through the Ivy League. It was really cool to see the Yale Bowl full for a game like Harvard Yale. And that was a Harvard Yale game in 2019 that went into double overtime that had the protesters on the field for halftime, which was really confusing to see live, see all these students go on the field and then the game be delayed. And it all actually put the game's ending in jeopardy because the Yale Bowl did not have lights. By the end of the second overtime when the fans rushed the field, it was already like nearing dusk, actually. It was nearing dusk. And so like it was I'd say about like 4:45ish in late November and there's no lights in the Yale Bowl. So that could have gone a lot worse had there been more overtimes played, and that's before the 2 point conversion rule. So that's a great atmosphere, and I'd have to say the Harvard going to Harvard Stadium with the same type of atmosphere as well, where they had a sellout crowd for or a near sellout crowd for Dartmouth versus Harvard when I went in 2019. That's a game where I was lucky enough to witness a Hail Mary thrown with Harvard with or no not Harvard but Dartmouth throwing a Hail Mary. Um, to end that game. But it's just cool seeing those Ivy League stadiums full, playing impactful football on a fall Saturday because it just brings you back to when those programs were. I'm not going to say relevant because they're not irrelevant now, but when they were really national powers and national brands.
yeah, that's interesting you bring that up because this day and age, I mean, the South is, obviously the predominant part of the country for big time football. But if you look at history, I mean, the Eastern schools were the powerhouses back in the day. Your Ivy Leagues, your Armies, it's always kind of hard to remember that, because these days they're obviously not as relevant. But it's cool you've gotten to experience those because even for myself, there's like FCS schools I'd love to see a game at. I think it'd be cool to go to a Harvard Yale game. Um, and just experience just kind of just true student athlete college football because I just that doesn't exist as much anymore. So it's just cool that you've gotten to go to that, and that's another Harvard Yale is just another iconic rivalry that I feel like people kind of forget about. And I've actually looked at speaking of the Yale Bowl too. I mean, I've done research on the Yale Bowl, and it looks like a really cool stadium, and I know it's like actually I think it's a historical marker actually in the state in Connecticut out there. So
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and I think on that note, in terms of stadiums that I want that I guess we want to visit. That's something that we talked about before as part of our outline. Excuse me. I really want to visit stadiums that are great works of architecture that have hardly changed that are old and have hardly changed over the course of their lifetime. Like in the Ivy League, you're not going to get many stadiums I guess aside from the Ivy League that are like that. Like some to come to mind on my bucket list are Cornell Sholkoff Stadium with the crescent grandstand. That's been that way since about I think 1915 was when that grandstand was built. Same thing with like Brown Stadium. Brown Stadium's got a nice trapezoidal grandstand, and the exterior is it's very great. It's old architecture. And then another one too that comes to mind is Bucknell Stadium, not exactly the Ivy League, but it was built, sorry, not Bucknell Stadium, Christy Matthews Memorial Stadium, home to Bucknell. It's a stadium that was built in 1925. It's a nice horseshoe, but just being inside the stadium, you can tell it's an old type of stadium. It's not too gaudy like a lot of the Power Five stadiums, which that's something that turns me off about a lot of the Power Five and FBS stadiums. Where it's like they're newer works of architecture. They don't bring you back to a past age in collegiate athletics. So those are a few that are on my bucket list. Ivy League, Patriot League mostly. Uh, Fit and Field is another one I recommend to a lot of other people that in the Northeast, or just college football fans in general. That's the stadium I grew up around in Worcester, Massachusetts. It's a nice U shaped, not exactly a horseshoe, but it's U shaped. It's an older structure. And just the structure itself reminds you when Holy Cross was a national power. I mean, Holy Cross has an Orange Bowl appearance to their name and everything. Holy Cross Boston College was an impactful game on the Eastern and sometimes national calendar. So just a reminder of those days. But yeah, those are a couple stadiums that I would like to visit. What are some on your list, Nathan?
Definitely want to get out to Navy Marine Corps in Annapolis. A lot of G5s, honestly. That I mean, there's definitely Power Fives. Like I'd like to experience like your Clemson's, your University of Texas's, things like that. But would love to get out to Navy. Love to get out to Mikey. I mean, I've toured West Point before, and the campus is beautiful, and I'd love to just experience a game there. The stadium just looks incredible too, just even seen on TV. And I know it's ranked as one of the best stadiums in all of college football to attend a game at. And then I think Appalachian State would be a lot of fun on Boone, North Carolina. That looks like a rowdy bunch out there. North Dakota State's another one too. The Bison and um, I think Memphis, the Liberty Bowl. I think that'd be a fun one to hit up. Um, yeah, just there's definitely a good mix for me for Power Five and Group of Five, and even FCS. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's great stadiums all around, like especially like ones like the Liberty Bowl. I know the Liberty Bowl is getting renovations, but a lot of the structure itself is kind of preserved. You can tell. I would say it's like mostly unchanged, but you could tell it is the Liberty Bowl. It's not something that has morphed into a bigger, I guess, more, I guess, I don't know what the word is, but a bigger
yeah,
version of itself. Um, and yeah, I mean, you're making me remember stadiums that I've been to as well. I mean, the Liberty Bowl, great stadium. Was able to go for the 2020 Liberty Bowl, which a lot of Army fans do not want to speak of, for various reasons. But it was good to see Army play West Virginia in a bowl of that stature, and of course, like the Rose Bowl. I mean, that's on anyone's check. That's on anyone's bucket list. I was able to go to that stadium, for the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl, as that was the first game I was actually credentialed for. But yeah, that's definitely a bucket list venue, and I urge any college fan that wants to go to the Rose Bowl. I think if you love college football, if you love the history, I would say you'd save yourself a lot of money, and I feel like you'd get the same effect if you were to see UCLA play one of their new Big Ten conference mates. That's something that's on my bucket list to see them play a Minnesota and Illinois and Indiana, schools that have been underrepresented in the history of the Rose Bowl, play at the Rose Bowl. So that's just my recommendation now, which I'm here to make lemonade out of lemons with a conference realignment. And that's something for me where it's like more of these Big Ten teams get to go to the Rose Bowl. Will it cheapen the experience after a while? Yes, it will, but I think it makes it
yeah,
easier for college football fans who want to go to the Rose Bowl to kind of experience the vintage Rose Bowl experience, so the experience that most of us grew up with on New
yeah.
Year's Day.
I gotta say another stadium that came to my mind. I think it's more just for the thing that's there, but I think I'd love to go to Miami of Ohio and see the like see I want to see the cradle of coaches. Like I just think that is like the coolest thing in the world. They got all the different statues of all the different coaches, and my my guy Sean McVay's got a statue up there now, so I got to go see that.
Yeah, I forgot he played there. I mean, you look at Paul Brown, I think has ties to Miami of Ohio. Of course, Eric Parsegian, Notre Dame, the big one. Red Blake for
Yep.
Army. I know Army played Miami of Ohio a few times over the years. I thought that was a cool series with with Red Blake's ties to Miami of Ohio. And then just so many more coaches. I think John Pont, the guy that took Indiana to their only Rose Bowl, was from Miami of Ohio, and just so many more. So definitely a an impactful program in the world of college football. I know we were talking off camera and texting about how Miami of Ohio kind of gets lost in terms of being a great group of five program. Like they had a great run in the 70s. I think they won three Citrus Bowls in a row. I think against SEC teams, well, current SEC teams in Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. I think they won all three of those in the 70s. They just had a great run in that era. So definitely like Miami of Ohio, that's one I definitely overlooked.
Yep. No, I agree. I think that's always been a really solid program. Even right now, I mean, I know last year they were Mid American Conference champions. I think Chuck Martin, their coach, is honestly, I think he's pretty underrated. He's done a nice
Yeah.
job of that program the last couple of years. I know last year I think they were a 10-win team, and I think the year before too. And um, you know, it's one, some people I don't think care about it, but you got to love action on a Tuesday night in the fall. It's a great tradition, in my opinion. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree. It's great to just come out after work and see a MAC game on the television. Which speaking of the MAC, Miami of Ohio, something else we wanted to cover was or give our thoughts on was the end of the Victory Bowl series or Victory Bell series as we know it with Cincinnati and Miami, one of the oldest rivalries in college football, dating back to 1888. The two schools, Miami and Cincinnati, have over 120 meetings. I think they're at 100. I think this year will be the 128th meeting, and the schools have mutually decided to cancel the series. And after seeing different talk online, seeing different statements from the athletic directors, it looks like Miami got tired of playing games in the city of Cincinnati. And I picked my words carefully, not saying at Cincinnati, because I think the as we were talking about before going on air, since 20 Yager Stadium for Miami has not hosted a Victory Bell game since 2017. And the breakdown, which I verified after talking to you about it before going on air, the breakdown was 2018 was at Paul Brown, now Paycor Stadium, home of the Bengals. 2019 was at Nippert. 2020 was a pandemic. There was no Victory Bowl game. 2021 was back at Nippert, and 2022 was at Paul Brown Stadium. And then 2023, of course, was at Nippert again. The Paul Brown slash Paycor Stadium games were Miami of Ohio home games, but we all know about the terminal situations when you play a power conference team or you play a team in a better conference at a neutral site to sell more tickets. We're going to call it a home game. Like I know back I've seen video of a Air Force home game in 2005 where they were the home team against the University of Washington at Seattle's then Quest Field, which is now I think a Lumen Field out there in Seattle. So we know how those things go. I understand the frustration for Miami as a Group of Five fan, but Nathan, I want to know your thoughts since you wanted to bring this up and it's a very pertinent topic.
yeah, I just think I think in general it's just sad to see these storied rivalries. Like, yeah, is it the relevancy of like Ohio State, Michigan, or Army, Navy, or USC, Notre Dame? No, but it's a tradition of those programs. It's goes way back, and that's the stuff that I think true college football fans love about college football. And I get Cincinnati; they've become a power four program. They're a notch up, obviously, on Miami of Ohio, but it's just sad that you'd want to give up that game. I mean, there's I think there's rivalries that they call rivalries, but they're really not that big. But there's certain ones where I feel like you don't want to see those go away. Like I look at even like one that I used to love was the backyard brawl with like West Virginia and Pitt, and like not seeing that every year, like that sucks because I think that's what makes college football special. It's for me, college football wasn't necessarily about just winning national championships. It's about the pageantry, the traditions, the intense rivalries, the regionality. Like, growing up in Big Ten country, it's like you took pride in like our brand of football out here, and then having us go against like the SEC, like that's what people love about college football. And we're just all this money that you know and this TV stuff going on. We're gonna unfortunately, I think we're just losing that year by year, and it's really sad to see.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I mean, it's sad in the aspect you brought up with Cincinnati becoming a Power Four program, essentially outgrowing their rivals and everything. Because something I mentioned is, I guess I mentioned on Twitter is the fact that Cincinnati had a bowl drought from 1951 to 1996. Like less than 3 decades ago, Cincinnati had not was at a point where they had not been to a bowl game since the Truman administration, right? So now here they are. They peaked at the right time, and I commend them for peaking at the right time, joining Conference USA first, then joining the Big East when they had the BCS bid, and then joining the Big 12 now. So I commend them. It's just sad that they get to a point where you feel like you outgrow your rivals, which is why I enjoy Notre Dame Navy so much because, of course, Navy, when Notre Dame first scheduled Navy in the late 1920s, early 1930s, like Navy was still a national program, not a national power, I should say. Of course, like Notre Dame was always Notre Dame at that point under Newt Rockne, but both schools took different trajectories. But because of the circumstances of the rivalry, Notre Dame never outgrew Navy, really. And that's something that's rare to see these days, where you have a program where you have two rivals, or I guess we have rivals heading in different directions, in different landscapes of the power, or in different aspects, or I guess in different spots in the Power Five and Group Five dynamic. And they go their separate ways. And I will say though too, I will say as well that I think it's great when a Group of Five program takes a stand and tells their nearby regional rival that no, you will play us at our place, or else we're not playing at all. San Jose State took that approach, and I think it was 2006 and 2007. 2006 when San Jose State went to the New Mexico Bowl under Dick Tomey, rest in peace. Under Dick Tomey when they beat Stanford, and then the next year in 2007 they just ended the series because Stanford wanted to stop playing at Spartan Stadium when San Jose State had beat Stanford at Spartan Stadium. And now here we are where Stanford joins a conference, or, they're going to travel the circumference of the earth at some point. And now they need a regional rival. And now they're playing San Jose State on Black Friday at Spartan Stadium. So I think putting your foot down as Group of Five program, it pays off. And I'm glad to see Miami do that. It's just sad that as a result, this rivalry has to end.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's one thing I've always loved about Notre Dame is you can tell Notre Dame wants to keep their tradition alive. And I know some Notre Dame fans like there's a lot of mixed reviews I think on the Navy rivalry, and I can understand it to a point, but it's cool to see the university stand by it, and because they know that if it wasn't for the Navy, they might not even be around today. And I think Notre Dame too. I think what makes Notre Dame special too is they aren't independent. They're a national brand, and they can go coast to coast. And I think that's, to me, the day they join a conference, which I feel like it'll probably happen just with how the landscape's going with college athletics right now. But it can be kind of sad because I feel like it's going to take the allure of what Notre Dame football's been for so many years.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, the day that Notre Dame joins the SAD conference, it'll be a sad day. Like it won't be the same thing for Notre Dame, no matter how national the conference is, really. Um, but yeah, I think we covered all the topics. Nathan, is there anything final you want to add? Anything you want to promote?
Yeah. I was curious about your thoughts on the new NCAA football game. I saw you bought it, and I actually had an opportunity to try it out a couple weeks ago at a good friend of mine's house, and I had a lot of
Okay.
fun, man. It brought back some great memories, and I really, for me personally, I really love just the detail they put into like the team entrances, and just you could feel the pageantry of the stadiums and just the crowds and all that on the screen. It was a lot of fun, and just playing dynasty mode like I did as a kid, it just brought back a lot of fun memories. So
Yeah. No, I mean, you spoke pretty much what I feel. Like it doesn't feel like a Madden reskin. Yes, there are kinks with the gameplay, but I think it's great. Captures a college feel. It really does. And I love the playbook too. The option playbook is spot on and fun to play with, really. You see like a lot of the sets that, Air Force use especially. I mean, not so much Navy. The T formation isn't really there for Navy, but you see a lot of the flex bone sets, like the different types of flex bone sets. That the teams use and like how it's specific to the personnel that especially Army uses. So I think
yeah,
it's great. I think the option gameplay is fun to play with. It's, you can really dice teams up running the triple option. So that's what I love.
no, I agree. I agree. The option, all the option playbook looked really good, and like I said, I think they did a great job with it. And I hope it keeps, hope they keep growing it and getting better with it as they keep this, keep it going and bringing it back. So
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I mean, I just hope the playbooks expand in future years. I hope we get some uniform updates as well with some of the alternates of these schools, especially the service academies. Uh,
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
agree. That'd be a lot of fun. But I was also gonna ask too, are- what game are you most looking forward to for week one of the college football regular season for the first weekend?
I mean, Army Lehigh, of course. Unbiased answer though for week one. I'd say the week one game I'm looking forward to the most. Um, as a Notre Dame fan supporter, I have to say Notre Dame, Texas A&M because excuse me. I know Notre Dame has had trouble with Texas A&M in the past, honestly, whether it be at Kyle Field or I think I'd have to check the series history, but I know they've dropped one of like the couple meetings that they've had. And also too, Notre Dame played Texas A&M in the Cotton Bowl, and I think that's their last New Year's slash major bowl win to date. That I think 1993 Cotton Bowl. Yeah, on New Year's Day. I think
Okay.
that's their last I think New Year's win to date. So it's interesting seeing Notre Dame come to the 12th man in Kyle Field. I think it's a really intriguing clash of like two different types of programs, two kind of like national brands. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm definitely looking forward to that game. Um, Obviously Navy versus Bucknell. I mean, I think for the regionality standpoint, I think it's cool. Like when they play the Patriot League teams. I mean, I feel like Navy should win the game, but this teams before, so I'll never overlook an FCS team. And I'll be honest too, I'm really looking forward to the Colorado versus North Dakota State game because I really think North Dakota State could give Colorado a run for their money.
Yeah, I think so. That is one that people I don't know why they schedule North Dakota State. I think it's glad they're not cowering away from the Bison, but like that is one that is definitely on my radar for sure. Which like speaking of that, I think I've seen that Montana State is a I think 5.5 point favorite on UNM in week zero, which I guess for week zero games, always looking forward to the Ireland game if you want to count week one in. Of
Yeah,
course, Hawaii versus Delaware State, seeing a late night Hawaii game and Delaware State getting out there to travel for a rare trip to the islands. Gotta be fun for those players. I just hope that they don't get shut out and they have some great moments against the Warriors in that game. Shout out Delaware State. Um, but yeah,
yeah, no, that should be fun for them. And I hope Hawaii football can get back to being relevant again. I remember as a kid, them especially when they had Timmy Chang, Colt Brennan, they had some fun teams back in the day, and that program I know has been pretty downtrodden. I know they got a lot of issues with like stadium stuff going on, and it I'm really hoping they can get stuff figured out and turned around.
yeah.
So
No, I'm with you too. I really hope they figure it out. Hope they get the support that they do because that team used to mean so much to that island. Um, but I think we covered everything, Nathan. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
no, nope, I think that's it, man. And yeah, just always fun talking with you, Omar. Always enjoy the discussions with you and talking
Likewise.
college football and just as much as college football is changing, I hope once we hit the season, we'll just we can as fans drain some of the politics and everything going on and just be able to enjoy college for football for what it truly is. So
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, I'm sure we'll get used to the new setup, the new conference setups, but I wouldn't lie if I wasn't concerned, but I think we'll be fine. College football will be college football. Just takes some getting used to. But until next time, everyone, thank you again, Nathan, for staying up late. I know it's about 8:42 Central Time where you're at. Thank you for staying up late and discussing college football with me. And everyone, thank you for joining whatever hour you listen. And until next time, everyone, peace, love, and soul. I'm the Burger Popper.